welcome back to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians. I am once again joined by everybody, which has been so nice. So, introductions.
Hey, it's Ben.
Hi, it's Simona.
Hey, it's Joe.
Katie.
Lewis. I don't know where my camera is. There it is.
Somewhere. Alright, and so for today's episode, we thought we'd take a break from all the watching of the movies and the TV shows and take a break from some games to discuss maybe what's some of our favorite music from movies that we've really enjoyed.
Listening to noise from movies and TV shows.
Or noise. Or maybe no sounds at all. I have seen a movie like that where it's just no sound.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen it too. It's
There's a couple that are just like, whoa.
Dunkirk.
No Country for Old Men, right?
Dunkirk?
It was like
Yeah.
dead silent the whole time.
So there's a lot of silence there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dunkirk, very little talking, very little music.
But it's weird. It's like the function of like the what's going on in the scene works as the like blends with the
It
music
does,
and the most
right?
interesting. Yeah.
The plane's engine almost sounds like a tonal music sound.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Shows you just how powerful sounds in movies can really be. So without further ado, I guess I'll start us off. So there's really no criteria. Yeah, we'll go around. There's really no criteria for what we've chosen. They're just soundtracks we've really enjoyed over the years. My first is actually a number one favorite. Is from the 2002 movie Queen of the Damned. Is a very interesting soundtrack to me. It's all kind of just...
Is that the one where the vampire Lestat was played by that actor who's
Stuart Townsend, which is my boy.
and he legit like said boo back.
That was just part of the line. It was the cringiest line, but I love him for doing it.
Really committed to it.
He really did. Well, what's interesting about the album, in my opinion, is that if you listen to the movie and you listen to the soundtrack, they're not the same in any regard. The music that's on the soundtrack is played by different artists for each song, and the songs are specifically written for the movie because if anybody knows the books Queen of the Damned or the Vampire Lestat, you'll know that when he awakes, he's basically awoken by rock music because he's always interested in new things, and he is a musician himself. So the one thing that catches his attention is rock music. And he's like, whoa, I'm going to be a rock star. So he writes all these songs that basically go against the vampire code that put vampire secrets into the music. And the vampire community is not very happy about it because they're all like, what are you doing? So if you actually listen to the songs of the film, they do actually put like the secrets of the vampires in the songs.
Cool.
But all the songs in the movie are actually voiced by Jonathan Davis from Korn, the lead singer of Korn. But he only does one song on the album.
And that one track by Mariah Carey called Glitter, right?
I don't think so. I didn't see
because
what
the vampires sparkle.
No! No! Wrong movie!
That's terrible.
That's my last.
I mean, he's pasty white, but he's not sparkly. They don't like the sunlight.
I'm gonna tell that one to my dad. He's gonna appreciate me.
I appreciate you. I do.
I appreciate you.
do.
We need to just do a Twilight episode. and
That
get
is
it
what
out of
I've
our
been
system.
saying.
We all
Twilight.
secretly love it, right?
I've only seen one of the movies, and it was the last one, and the fake out fight where everyone died made me very mad. But you know what? I'll watch all of it. Why not?
No!
Yes.
Yeah.
No, don't pay for it.
It's awful.
They're all on
I didn't
Netflix.
say I'd pay for
Good,
it. I
don't
said
pay
I'd
for
watch
it.
It's on Netflix.
They're on Netflix.
Don't pay for it.
Just
don't watch it.
we have it down here. Just remember, this is what happens when Lewis leaves the room.
Yeah.
We go way off topic right away. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, we
all
will
your
be
fault,
sure to
then.
do a Twilight episode. It'll be a very mixed opinion episode.
It's gonna be awesome.
I can't get enough on hating on it.
You're in my company on that one. And I saw all the movies and I read all the books.
Yep.
I had a date. One of my first dates with a boy in high school was actually two. I think the second one. And as soon as like Robert Pattinson, like he does the scene in front of the Volturi where he's exposing himself, like as a vampire. I was like, put your shirt back on. Gross. It's like you have the book rendition of him where he's supposed to be like statuesque.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ugh.
A lot of people had that reaction.
nasty.
He
Yeah.
said he worked so hard, and that was the reaction.
He didn't work hard enough.
No.
And now he is
He's
heroically
cool.
refusing to get ripped for Batman, and I
Good.
think that's amazing.
He did.
Good, he tried.
He kind of didn't tell the truth about that. He confessed.
Oh,
He said, "Well, he
okay.
didn't work out like a madman. He was working out regularly, but he
Okay.
wasn't trying to like bulk up to be like a superhero."
I'm still glad.
What's
because-
interesting about I worked on a movie set for like about 3 days back in like 2016, like January, for Good Time. You see Good Time?
Oh,
And
yeah,
my
I
job
love Good
was-
Time.
My job was to like just stand next to Robert Pattinson just in case he needed anything.
Oh my god.
And he's
Didn't
like,
need anything.
he's an angel. He's funny as hell. He was really social. Like we would just talk the whole time. I had to go get him cigarettes one time because he ran out of cigarettes. But he is actually like that. All those jaw lines and chin, like it's frighteningly like
Natural.
more when you're
Wow.
actually face to face with him. It's like it is like how do some people like get born like that? It's amazing.
Have you ever seen that picture where it's him hanging out with Death Grips and Beyonce for some reason?
No,
He looks like a maniac in it. It's awesome.
I'm gonna find it.
But I need to talk to you more about Good
Yes,
Time.
we will. We shall. Sorry, Lewis, for going off topic again.
No,
We're on
that's
a
what
roll.
makes it fun. Anyways, that's my number one favorite album. I'm not gonna lie, all the time I used to fall asleep to all the goth metal that was on there. Marilyn Manson was on there. Like, Chester Bennington from, Linkin Park was on there. Yes. A lot of great artists are on there. I absolutely love that album, and I could listen to that album like a gajillion
I
times.
had a classmate of mine actually make a CD for me or burn a CD for me because I loved the soundtrack to it, and I still have that CD.
So good.
So, yeah.
And very sweet that you kept it.
And God bless Aaliyah for
Oh yes.
playing
Yeah.
Akasha.
Yes.
So,
She did a great job.
her last movie.
Is it
So,
my turn?
sure, go.
Yeah, go for it.
Go
Okay.
for it.
I could not decide on my favorite soundtrack, so I'm going to say who my favorite composer is, and that's John Williams. John Williams is amazing. John Williams, I'm listening to all of the Star Wars soundtracks from episode 1 to episode 6, and just hearing the nuances of what he composed is amazing. And the fact that he still writes music with a pencil and paper and composes it for the piano and then composes it to a full orchestra is incredible. And I was watching The Phantom Menace on Tuesday night, and I was listening to Anakin's theme.
Mm-hmm.
Right towards the end of it, it's very subtle, but if you really listen to it, you can hear the Imperial March, Darth Vader's theme at the tail end of it, and I got chills. This is like John Williams at his best. It's like what he can create tension, he can create love in a love scene, like emotion. The range is incredible.
I mean, and
Yeah.
he never like. If there's one thing you can't knock about the newest movies,
Yeah,
it's their music.
It's the music.
And like Ray's theme when you first meet her and she's like sand sled riding
Yes.
down the hill and like
Yeah.
it just like puts you right into like that you're a kid again space.
Absolutely.
And it's like haunting and like just
Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want about the story, about the acting, about the writing, directing, what have you. The music for me makes a Star Wars film.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it right now. Force Awakens and Last Jedi
Yeah.
are the best 2 Star Wars movies ever made.
What?
I said it.
Wow.
But speaking about how brilliant John Williams is,
Yeah.
I think somehow his best piece of music was the one that landed in the worst of the Star Wars movies, Attack of the Clones, Across the Stars. Is that what it's called?
I
Yes.
love that.
Good
Yeah.
God.
It's
Yeah.
Anakin and Padme's love song.
Yeah, the Rolling
And-
Down the Hill in the Flower song. Right?
Yeah. It's like it speaks to the characters, just like Leia and Han Solo's love music, like love melody. speaks to them in The Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah.
I have a different controversial Star Wars opinion, which is that. Which is that Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars film.
Oh God, you might actually be right.
Look,
It's wonderful.
I think when I think Star Wars music, I think the showdown on Mustafar with just that.
Oh, with Obi-Wan and
it gets so operatic.
Yo, the
It
young
gets-
scene.
And I think like Revenge of the Sith is really where
Well, and I mean,
it's
like,
shifted to
but-
just like opera,
It's so good
insane.
though. Like my
It's
favorite scene is
amazing.
watching them
Yes.
marching into like the Jedi Temple is like my favorite. Even the Anakin,
the younglings.
he killed younglings.
Yeah. I mean, no, I love Revenge of the Sith. I remember
So funny.
being 15 years old, going to the theater,
Mhm.
watching that, and just being like drawn in. The music drew me into the world, drew me into what was going on. I was invested
Yes.
in what was going
Yeah.
on with Anakin, knowing full on knowing that he was going to be Darth Vader by
Yeah,
the
we
end
all
of the
knew.
movie. Yes. I mean, if you've seen the original trilogy, you
Yeah,
are
exactly.
gonna
If you
know.
didn't know,
Yeah.
spoilers.
And going back to what you're saying about the soundtracks, whatever was playing when it was Execute Order 66.
Oh my God! Yeah. Yeah,
They,
and
like-
then just hearing the music, the Imperial March again when the helmet's completed, just the slow tempo of how ominous it became in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, the theater erupted for a completely different reason, but I was captivated just for that reason alone.
It's a good call.
Music.
It's tough to follow John Williams.
Yeah.
John Williams has quite the
Yeah,
repertoire
and
of our
I mean,
childhood movies. I think
yeah.
like that he did
Yeah.
just he did a
Jaws.
majority of like the Harry Potter films.
He
He,
did.
didn't do the fourth one because he actually dropped that one.
I don't
to
think he did the
do-
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, but he did the first 2
Yes, he did.
and the 3rd.
He
did
was
the
asked
third.
to do
Yes.
the fourth one, but there's actually like another album on my list was Memoirs of a Geisha's soundtrack.
Yeah.
He did that one. He actually gave up doing the fourth Harry Potter movie to do that.
Yeah.
He was like, "Nah, I'm gonna do this."
Yeah.
and it was so
I mean,
worth it.
Jaws, you have 2 to 3 notes and you have a villain. I mean, yeah, it's and what else? What other movie? I mean,
Did he do Close Encounters?
yes,
I
Yes.
think if it's Steven Spielberg, he did.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Oh my God.
When they see the Brontosaurus for the first time and you hear that swell
Yeah.
of music, I get emotional. I get emotional because
There's
now
an-
I'm like
They travel in
completely invested in what's going to happen.
There's
at
an
that point.
amazing a cappella rendition of that theme in Swiss Army Man. Lovely.
I've never seen that. That's where Harry Potter's
Daniel
a zombie,
Radcliffe.
a corpse that like farts.
Yes. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It just seems so.
That's a completely different
Yeah.
definition than what I thought the movie was about. It's on my list of things to watch. Like I've had it like in like a Netflix like playlist for a while, but
And the Itzhak Perlman Schindler's List theme.
Schindler's List.
Yeah.
That. I mean, it's not far off that he would be able to write a piece of music for that because he did Fiddler on the Roof.
I did not know that.
Yes, he composed
The movie?
for
The movie version?
The movie, for Fiddler on the Roof. So, but that whole piece, that violin piece, is so haunting and emotional, and it says everything that the movie is going to be about in that one piece.
he knows how to definitely set a mood.
He does.
with the songs
Absolutely.
he chooses.
He knows how to, like I said, he knows how to create
Yeah.
tension, emotion,
Just fair-
devastation. Yeah.
It's probably he's the GOAT, right? I
He
guess
is the
it's
GOAT.
fair to say.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's just everyone's nipping at his heels, but that's
Yeah. Has been nominated for a few Academy Awards and hasn't won.
he's not one.
I don't think he's won one.
Wow, I did not.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined that.
So he's like the Leonardo DiCaprio of
Yes, but Leonardo DiCaprio finally won his Oscar
maybe he'll win one.
for The Revenant, which was great.
Hold on.
What did you win for? What was that one? 1984. Was that Empire of the Sun? Another gem, by
yeah,
the way.
I have no idea.
God, we could just turn this into the John Williams podcast. All right.
Well,
sorry.
to break up the John Williams, I'm throwing out Angelo Badalamenti's score for Twin Peaks. All of it. Talking original TV show, Fire Walk with Me, and The Return. Just astounding work all around. Instantly creates that beautiful dreamlike mood with just notes of nightmares. And, oh God, I can go on and on about the Twin Peaks soundtrack, but it is just the perfect sonic representation of David Lynch's vision. And
Did he do the actual theme song for Twin Peaks, though? Or was that other guy with that other funny name?
Who's the other guy?
The other guy with the other funny name.
Funny name.
I know the theme song's an instrumental version of Falling by Julie Cruz. But I think Angela may have composed it. I'm not sure. I'll look that up now. But...
Well, she's going to be our...
Yeah, I got you. Who am I looking up?
Hey, was The Return? I bought it, but I never watched it. Is it totally worth my time if I grew up loving Twin Peaks?
It is one of my favorite pieces of art.
Hey.
Like, ever made. It is not... Do not go in expecting old Twin Peaks. Just go in expecting...
David Lynch firing on all cylinders in the modern day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's probably one of the best, digital shot things I've seen. Lynch really knows how to run with digital and use it to his advantage.
I saw Inland Empire. I know what you mean.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God, Inland Empire's so good.
It's so weird. He's such a weird dude, but he's cool.
I've never seen Twin Peaks. Like, I've seen clips, and I've been very curious to watch the show, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. So, but I also don't really have interest.
But the quirkiness is what draws me in, because I've seen a lot of theory videos about what's happening in the town and the whole mystery around, the girl that's killed, and I've seen clips of, I can't remember the demonic figure that's...
I looked for the soundtrack.
I saw the scene
so
where
frightening.
Bob is creeping up slowly to the camera.
So, funny story
Oh
about
my God.
Bob. He was originally not meant to be a part of the show, but what happened was he was a set decorator, and he crouched to get out of shot, and his reflection was caught in a mirror, and David Lynch saw it, and he was like, oh my God, that's perfect.
I mean, that whole scene, you can feel the fear. Oh my
Could
God.
you imagine being that cool? David Lynch is like, all right, we'll use him. Marco Beltrami. That's who I was mistaking Angelo Badalamenti for. Yeah, Marco Beltrami.
But yeah, and Laura Palmer's theme is one of the most heartbreaking songs.
Is it the bass? Doom, doom.
It's bass, and then it breaks into piano, and it's just very...
Yeah. And all the Douglas firs are blowing in the wind, and Twin Peaks hit titles.
But yeah, if you have an interest in getting into a sort of cosmic detective story, I highly recommend it. One of my favorite things.
He did killer stuff for Lost Highway also. Did you see that?
Lost Highway's soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
David Lynch got really into industrial rock, and in The Return, there is a performance by Nine Inch Nails that is just brutal.
Okay. I'm gonna do
You've
this.
got my attention with 9 Inch Nails.
Eddie Vedder also shows up.
Such a gem.
Yeah, in The Return, he gets a whole lot of
love
musicians,
Pearl Jam.
chromatics.
Pearl Jam
it's
is my
really-
jam.
All right.
So, for the first soundtrack, I chose Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Because why not?
It's
John
John Williams.
Yes. So, it was nominated for Best Original Score at the 74th Academy Awards. It lost to Lord of the Rings.
See? See?
This is available for download on Hoopla, by the way, if you're interested. Ask the librarians about Hoopla. It's a great service. So what I did was I borrowed it on Hoopla and I listened to it again. And what was so beautiful about the score is that I think it really captures the magic and the wonder of the world that is Harry Potter. As I was listening to it, I could picture each and every scene in my head as the music was playing. It's just such a good soundtrack. It brings back a lot of memories. I was in high school when the first film came out. So it has a lot of fond memories for me too. Like, all the Harry Potter films are great. All the soundtracks are fantastic. But since I had to narrow it down to one, I chose the Sorcerer's Stone.
It's iconic. It's
Yeah.
Like, you hear
Iconic.
any of the songs like out today, like just the main Harry Potter theme that comes up.
Yeah.
The do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You always hear that everywhere, and it's like I know what that is. It's like any
Yeah.
song from Harry Potter you can pick up and be like, oh, that's from Harry Potter.
There is
Yeah.
something
That's
about
how
the
it is.
darkness of Half-Blood Prince, though, that just...
That's my favorite
Yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite book, too.
That's the best of the movies I've seen, I think.
And, like, the soundtrack is, like,
Yes.
very... Yeah.
I think it definitely, like, as the movies progressed, it definitely showed more. John Williams, I feel like in Sorcerer's Stone, definitely had, like, the beginnings.
Yeah.
Like, this is Harry at the beginnings. This is the exciting world
Mm-hmm.
of wizards and witches and magic. And it's like, it's the music sounds so surprised and upbeat every time you even you have it. Because it's like, you know, you're set in that childlike wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just like, ah. And that's how the music, I feel like, reflected it, too, is that you're kind of having the journey with them.
No, definitely. Like, one
Yeah.
of my favorite moments is when he goes to Diagon Alley for the first time, and you really feel like you're experiencing the wonder of that world with Harry. Because I could picture myself if, like, I am completely ignorant of this, and I've just been thrust into this world. Like, Harry, you want to take in everything that you're seeing. And what I do love about the character of Harry in general, and maybe one day we got to do a Harry Potter in-depth podcast. That'd be awesome. Is that he never loses that wonder or appreciation for the wizarding world. Like, you would think, okay, now you know you've seen everything, but he still
To be
has it.
fair, you
Yeah.
live with an aunt and uncle and a snot-nosed nephew who,
Yeah.
to be fair, when he punches him in the face, I'm like, same, buddy.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I do a lot
So-
more than punch him in the face.
Yes.
The one music cue from Harry Potter I always think about is from the fourth movie after Cedric gets got and they run
Gets
back
got.
in, and it's just like the jaunty band playing.
Yeah, and then the high-pitched violin strings come in, and yeah, that was rough. That was a really, yeah. That's like on all my, like, reading playlists, is that particular song. Death of Cedric, I think it's called. But
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Just
wow.
super upbeat orchestral. It's like, that's it.
so, just my lists, I'm not going to do things like so great soundtracks, like I feel like Romeo Must Die, A Life Less Ordinary, City of Angels, Lost Highway, soundtracks that are collections of artists. I'm focusing on scores, but those soundtracks are incredible. I love them. I recommend them. I think they're just really worth your time. But I'm probably gonna have to go with, and I talked about it one time before, Daniel Pemberton's Steve Jobs soundtrack. It doesn't make sense how good the music is in this movie, how good everything about that movie is pitch perfect. It's this ball of like energy and propulsive like storytelling, and just it's amazing. And Daniel Pemberton made just the soundtrack that I listen to all the time, no matter what. It works for reading, it works for walking, it works for exercising, it works for when you're doing your own like little writing things on the side or just sipping whiskey. Like, it just works. Every occasion the Steve Jobs soundtrack belongs to. And not the one with Ashton Kutcher, the Michael Fassbender one. The Danny Boyle movie.
I was just going to ask, because there's two of them.
Yeah.
I was going to ask which one, just for clarification.
The one called Steve Jobs, not the one called Jobs.
Gotcha.
All right.
They needed to pick a different name. It's very confusing. So I did like separate lists between like scores and like soundtracks, but I have more soundtracks than scores, and we've already talked about, like, I already said Memoirs of Vacation. I think Katie already mentioned, one of you guys mentioned Lord of the Rings. Yeah, you Lord of the Rings. It beat. Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings. So I'll go with my next pick, which was The Lost Boys, the 1987 horror movie, and I talk about it a lot, but I can't emphasize enough that growing up with my mom, who was, born in the 80s, it's like one of those movies to me that the whole album encompasses just the 80s and what it was. You have pop, you have rock, you have everything in there.
Muscle-bound dude oiled up in the saxophone.
Yes, I actually found something. He has his own fan page for that.
Deserves it.
I found out, I went and I looked up a bunch of like facts for this because I was like, there's some things I didn't know about it, like Cry Little Sister. I knew this part, the song Cry Little Sister, which is kind of a weird scene, this flighty, flowy scene that turns into like the big love scene between Star and Michael. It was wrote for the movie. but he only wrote, the guy who wrote the song, Gerard McMahon, he wrote it only after reading the script.
Oh, wow.
And he never saw any part of the movie. He just read the script and he was like, that's it. Done. So, Kiefer Sutherland also, like, the big star of the movie, I would say. Maybe not the biggest star of the movie, because
He's the one that counts. So.
He's not the one that counts. He didn't really want to be in the movie in the first place, but when he heard that In Excess and Jimmy Barnes were doing music for it, he was like, heck yeah! He spent a whole summer in Australia traveling with them, and he was just like, yeah, okay.
That was shot in Australia?
Parts of it were. No, it wasn't shot in Australia, no, but Kiefer Sutherland, before the movie, when he heard that they were going to be doing songs, he spent an entire summer in Australia. And
It was actually shot in Santa Cruz, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I believe I went to Santa Cruz once, and they're like, this is where this was shot in The Lost Boys, and I was like, cool. I love that film.
So, I don't know. Lost Boys holds a heart. It holds a lot in my heart, because
It should.
I could
It's
listen to
fantastic.
that album, like, on repeat. I think during October, I tend to listen to it more because it's spooky month, and I always watch Lost Boys during spooky month.
And it was well utilized in that movie you made us watch for Halloween.
Oh,
Lost Bookstore Closet.
Oh, the bookstore.
Night books. Night
Night
books.
Books, that's it.
Check out the episode. But, yeah.
My turn again?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, another composer, because I love James Horner. James Horner composed for Braveheart. Not a historically accurate movie, and I love tearing it apart because I did all my research for my master's dissertation on that time period. Anyway, I digress. Titanic, Avatar. I mean, I'm sure other films, but those are
Troy.
like the top.
Oh, we did Troy.
Top,
We did Troy in a week.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and now like
It shows.
again, when you talk about range, especially in Titanic, where you get like these huge sweeping melodies and orchestra, like with when the ship hits the iceberg to its sinking to it, and then just quiet once the Titanic is under the North Atlantic, and they're all, they're all in the North Atlantic waiting for rescue, and it's just haunting and beautiful, and yes, Celine Dion helps with
Yeah.
that soundtrack, which is okay, but just everything from when they're docked at Southampton to the ending point in New York City. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those movies that it's like cool to bag on now, but I think it's kind of fantastic.
Which movie? Titanic?
Titanic.
Yeah,
I
well, I
haven't
also
gone back
did-
as an adult to watch it.
I also did a final project in my undergrad, and I did a whole bunch of research for the Titanic, so I know what's real and what's not in that movie as well.
You know it's been exaggerated.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I feel like I didn't always love James Horner because I feel like without fail, every single soundtrack at some point you'd hear a little trumpet go da 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 da.
That's
And
a
it started to like get to me. I was like, why can't he just stop doing this? His music's so nice, and then we hear
Right.
da 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 da.
Yeah.
But when William and Murren are running away together, getting married in the dark, that's
Yeah.
like one of the best pieces of soundtrack music in the history of soundtracks.
It's
My-
beautiful, it's haunting, because anyone who knows the story knows what's going to happen to Miran and knows the tragedy of it. So it's the whole, like from their wedding to their wedding night, it's all haunting, and I don't have other words
Yeah.
to describe it except for that, haunting and sad, but also at the same time uplifting.
Because she shows up for him at the very end,
Right.
Spoiler.
Absolutely. The very end, when he's being drawn and quartered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exquisite. Good
Yes.
call.
My favorite James Horner soundtrack is for The New World by Terrence Malick.
I didn't realize that was even him.
Yeah. Malick tends to get uncharacteristic scores out of his composers, and I think it shows there, but I think he works with what makes Horner great too. and
I know
think
Horner
he
had
highlights
passed
it.
on by the time Malick's last movie came out, but that soundtrack was amazing. was the one with the guy who like refused to fight in World War II for Germany.
Hidden Life.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
I think you would really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I love his soundtrack for Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, you are there on Pandora, and, you know, it's again,
Do we know if
sweeping.
he's gonna do the second one? With the score for
James
the
Horner
second
Passed
one?
away.
James Horner passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that. My bad.
Yeah,
Cool.
in like 2015.
Do you think he made the score?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Do we believe that it's actually going to come out?
He said
Avatar
it's
2?
done.
December.
He said
I
it's
already-
But
done.
like, I feel like he's been like saying like Avatar 2
It's
is going to come
James
out next year
Cameron.
since like
So
2012.
here's the thing. I'm just saying. So that within a week, in December, you have Underwater, Avatar 2, and Aquaman 2 coming out. It's going to be like this weird dueling of environmentalist superhero movies. One of them's going to budge, and I think Aquaman has all the mojo. I don't
Yeah.
think Avatar does.
I guess I'm gonna have to see Avatar. I haven't even seen the first one, but I just gotta support.
Ah,
James
really?
wait a minute,
Cameron
wait a
It
minute.
and
just
his
dances
mayhem.
with.
So wait a minute. You were complaining about the release of the second Avatar movie, and
I'm
you
just-
haven't even seen
no, I'm
the
just
first
saying
movie.
that James Cameron has been talking about making like his 7 Avatar movies for a long time.
I think there's
now.
3. I think he was gonna do like 3, and then he finished the second one, and then he kept saying he's almost done with it. He's almost done with it.
Yeah.
And then finally he was like, I'm done with it. And
I
then I
have
don't think it's
nothing-
gonna come out in December. I
It's
think that's a
supposed to come.
placeholder date.
Yeah, it's supposed to
But-
come out in December
I have
of this
nothing
year.
against Avatar. I support James Cameron and his submarine antics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Cameron. Oh, South Park, sorry.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go full Reddit on this one and go with Drive. Great soundtrack. I mean, you have all like the synthwave stuff from
Nightfall,
Kavinsky,
Kavinsky. Yeah.
Synthwave.
and the Johnny Jewel stuff, and A Real Hero by College. Just great pop songs. I mean, beautiful sounds, and the actual score for it by Cliff Martinez is also pretty awesome, and I think matches the tone of those songs very well. So, yeah.
That movie did something really right back in, was it 2011?
I think so.
I don't think that director quite ever hit that level afterwards.
Refn is a weird
Yeah.
dude, and I think he's sort of moved into a space where he wants to do his own thing, and is sort of contemptuous of the audience of Drive. Which,
Yeah, like Bon Iver, right? It's like they're making this piece of music, and they're like, this sounds like it's going to be a hit song. We need to change this now.
Yeah.
I think he does that. And he makes like this TV series called Too Old to Die Young.
Yes, I want
And
to
it's
see
like
that.
2-hour episodes. And it's dark, it's gruesome.
I know Hideo Kojima shows up in it, playing an assassin, because him and Refn are, forget what Kojima calls his
Well,
friends.
Refn
but-
showed up in Death Stranding.
Yeah, he's one of the Soul Warriors, or whatever Kojima calls his buds.
That's good.
Interesting.
Hello. Sorry, I was gone for a while. So my second was the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. Now, all the Lord of the Rings soundtracks are beautiful, but I limited it to the first one. So the first film is so magical. It's your introduction to this world. I mean, the opening sequence alone, when Galadriel is reciting the history of Middle-earth and the history of the Ring of Power, that entire sequence is phenomenal.
Chills
the music
up the
and their
spine.
yes.
I always mouth off
Um,
to it when I watch it.
Yeah, and I just love, the Hobbit theme. I love how each culture has its distinct sound. So not only did the costuming do that very well, but the music does it as well. Like, you can listen and the cultures they're talking about based on the music alone. So it's a fantastic film that actually won the Academy Award in the 74th Academy Awards.
Yeah, it beat out John Williams.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy about that.
They're like, get out of here.
No, that was the year later. Was it? Yeah. And Gangs of New York, or was that the year later?
I have no idea. I'm not. Yeah, Oscars could come and go. I have no clue about any of it. Like, I'm really.
It was a year later for Two Towers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But just the Lord of the Rings films in general are amazing. The music is amazing. So yeah.
So
I-
in Fellowship of the Ring, there was this. It's a musical moment, but it's when they're walking through the dark, and Gandalf chances a little more light.
Yes.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, we're looking at the Great Hall of the Dwarves.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
There-
like the moment that I always go back to in that film.
There are so many moments. Like one of the themes that is the most chilling is the theme for the ring wraiths.
Yes.
I love them. They're
Like-
so cute.
It's called A Knife in the Dark, I think.
Yes,
they're
it's just so chilling, and it's so like you feel the menace, you feel the dread. But that scene in Moria is very much because they're hopeful, and then he gets like little light. No, we talking about the same thing. No, are you talking about when they're? I was thinking about when they first enter the cave, because that is pretty chilling, and they see all the dead bodies. But you're not talking about that
No, I'm talking
moment.
about the beautiful moment where
Okay,
they look
yes.
at the hall and the great tower.
Oh,
just
yes,
before everything
yes.
goes bad.
Yes, before everything sort of goes to hell.
Where you
Yeah,
start hearing
no,
orcs
that
in
is
the background.
that is
Oh,
gorgeous.
Oh, no.
And then, shortly after, when Gandalf falls,
Oh yes.
and they finally get outside, and
Yes.
that
Oh
song.
my god,
Yeah.
that whole orchestral part, it rips my heart out every time I see it.
Yeah, it's,
Every time.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
the whistle kind of,
Yeah.
like the, what is it? I don't know.
The
Music
piccolo.
that, well,
The follow
just
you
the-
fools, and then
Yeah.
slow motion Frodo scream,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
gets grabbed by Sean Bean, and they go outside, and everyone's
Yes,
crying. Yeah.
Sean Bean, who always dies. I was so
That's
happy
not true. He
when.
doesn't always die. Only
Well-
he's a bad guy.
Well, no. Like I remember.
Was his character really a bad guy, though?
He was redeemed.
He was redeemed, but he was human.
Yeah.
Is
exactly.
his problem, and
Yeah.
humans are greedy,
Who, above all,
Yeah.
acquire power.
and all the
Yeah.
ring wraiths are,
Human.
humans.
That scene is gorgeous between him and Aragorn when he finally admits that Aragorn is his king. Like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Poor me.
And that starts the beginning of the breaking of the Fellowship, which
Yes.
is a 7.5-minute song.
Yeah.
It's right into the Enya song.
Yes,
May it be.
I
Yeah.
always have this thing, like one thing that draws me into like a film or series are strong friendships.
Mhm.
And I hate the idea, like my sister was watching Stand By Me the other night. She watched it without me, but that whole
How dare
scene when
she.
they're talking about how all the friends just broke up and they never really saw each other again, like that always kills me because I hate the idea. I know this happens in life, but I hate the idea of friendships breaking or going off. So that's always the hardest part when the Fellowship disbands the first
Yeah.
time.
It really must
And
have
then
broken
the
your heart when
second
he tells
time-
Sam to get the F out.
Yeah.
It always breaks my heart. Like the first time this, and the second time when one of the more beautiful moments too is when Frodo is going into what I call the afterlife. I know it's not really the afterlife,
The
but
Grey Havens.
yes,
Yeah.
that whole scene
I'm in
killed
tears.
me.
I'm in tears when he's saying goodbye and
I
everyone's living.
cry. Like, I
Yeah.
watched that scene like, oh my god, and you know that they live happy lives, but they're not together.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me. And like, thankfully, they all go off. They all live their life, and they live fulfilled lives. But it's like Frodo is not there with them. Gandalf is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gandalf's off evolving.
yeah. But I love how Gandalf always shows up in the nick of time, like right when you need him. Like you're all about to die. I'm here now. It's like,
Yeah.
So,
In fairness, though, he does say, "This is when I'll be there."
Yeah.
So-
This is true.
yes.
Actually,
is true.
all
A
Gandalf
wizard
does is
is
basically
never
say,
late.
"This is what's happening. This is what's gonna happen. This is where I'll be. Stay tuned."
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially.
well, you know what's funny, or not funny, but the scene where literally I was saying that you must hate watching Frodo tell Sam to go away, get away from me.
Oh yeah.
Like you're not
Yeah.
wanted. Is they start playing the Fellowship music
Yeah.
from the and you're just like, why would you choose this song?
I know.
I was thinking, why would you choose Smeagol? I mean, I know that's, and we gotta have a Lord of the Rings episode.
because he's corrupted by the ring.
Yeah. It's the ring. It's really the ring.
The ring wants it to follow
Yeah.
Gollum, who
Yeah.
it's taking him home. It's
Although,
taking it home.
although Gollum is a heartbreaking character when you really think about him, like
Yeah.
Still would
You know, when
not
he
want
murders
to
his
come
friend,
across
you know, you feel
Gollum
bad
if I
for
was
him.
in the Lord of the Rings universe.
No,
So.
me and Gollum would be buds.
really.
You bring out the
Yeah.
better side of him.
Yeah, me and him would hang out in the cave. We'd be having a
no,
great time.
Still
Nasty
living on.
hobbitses, fishes.
You've
yeah.
all watched that Stephen Colbert music video, right?
Yes,
I don't think so.
If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you
It
owe it
was
to
so
yourself.
fun. Well, Stephen
Okay.
Colbert's a huge fan of
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
He was in the Hobbit movie.
Yeah, he flipped his little eye patch.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's like a 5-minute video. It's about how it's the best trilogy. There's so many little winks to people who really know the series that happens if you pay attention to what they're talking about, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen what is it, like Clerks? I think it's Clerks, the third one.
Clerks 3 isn't out yet.
Not 3, the second one then. It's he's standing behind like the countertop and they're having a fight between which trilogy was better, like Revenge of the Sith. He's like, it's not Revenge of the King, it's Revenge of the Jedi. And then he has like a big old like fight between someone who's a Lord of the Rings fan and somebody who's a
Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh no,
But I love Rosario
it's so
Dawson, so I should.
funny. It's a good sequel in my opinion.
Man, speaking of Lord of the Rings, I mean, if we're going into like Two Towers, the Evan Star
Oh,
is like
yeah.
another piece. That was like, I think the best scene in the whole trilogy is
No.
the Aragon will die scene.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments is when Theoden
Theoden
Yeah.
King.
is just rousing the troops. It is one of the most beautiful speeches ever.
Yes.
And I like how the actor, when he strikes his spear, that was his, like, not ad lib, but it wasn't scripted.
Oh, when he taps all the spears
Yes,
with the sword?
he decided to do that because we're saying, what would a king do if I'm trying to rouse the troops? And it was almost like a way to bond. It
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
It was a
When
show
they're
of respect.
charging down the hill, that
It's
moment is
my-
gorgeous.
The Battle of Gondor is my favorite scene in
It's so good.
Yeah.
Return of the King when Rohan comes to help.
They come just
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
down.
it's great. I get
Yes.
chills just thinking about it. I get chills watching it, and the music carries with the horn, and then yeah.
I feel like my favorite little scene in Return of the King is like, it's like 5 seconds long, and it's everything's going wrong, and like Gandalf is just sitting by himself at like sundown, just like basically.
Oh, wait, it's with Pippin.
I
That's
think
my,
I think
he's not.
I think he's by himself actually, and I think Faramir just got taken out when they do the charge.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
When
Gandalf,
they leave
it's
to
like golden
charge.
sunset, and Gandalf is just at the side of the screen, just
Yeah.
kind of feeling hopeless for a second. It was
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, wow.
No,
Lord
the
of the
scene
Rings.
you're
We
talking
have
about
15
is
minutes
actually
left.
my favorite
Oh,
too.
is
Is the one where Pippin sings for the king with the nasty tomato
Yes.
thing. But I absolutely adore that because it's such a
What
sad
happens is-
song,
and-
especially when they're riding to their deaths, and it's
Failure.
the worst. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben, but what was yours?
No, if you want to keep talking about this, it's fine with me. Or like how good Ed
Pippin's
Sheeran's song was in Hobbit.
Oh, that was so nice. I was like, is that
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran?
Sorry, diversion. All right, my I'm going to have to go with one here, so I'm going to have to go ahead. Honorable mention, movie called Cavalry from 2014, Irish film starring Brendan Gleeson. Breathtaking soundtrack, but enough of that. Darren Aronofsky, The Fountain, and The Wrestler.
Oh, both
Just
really
these-
good movies. Yeah.
The Fountain was like his, I think still to this day, it's not Darren Aronofsky, I'm sorry, it's Clint Mansell, but Darren Aronofsky was the director. Clint Mansell, The Fountain. Clint Mansell worked with Slash on The Wrestler.
That's
Basically, the soundtrack is
amazing.
only like 11 minutes long because they use it sparsely throughout, but it's really good what they do. But The Fountain is just on another level, and it's, I think, Clint Mansell, who has just an amazing collection of really good work, really, I think, hit the high water mark there for soundtracks, and it's just very beautiful. It's truly stunning work. And a little tiny independent movie called Ink from 2009, and it's written and directed by Jamin Winans, and the soundtrack, also made by him, was used at the end of the movie called The Gray many years later. The Gray with Liam Neeson, where he got lost in Alaska. It's like this
okay.
piano piece.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done. All I'm gonna do now is chime in on your soundtracks.
Well, I know Lou was going to pop in, and I think he had stuff to say. And I think Lou said if we go a little over.
Yeah, this might
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
an extended episode.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in that case. Well, yeah, I'll get back to you about Ink then. But Clint Mansell, The Fountain, Clint Mansell, The Wrestler, really just good haunting pieces of music.
So I'm gonna drop Moulin Rouge, the soundtrack for Moulin Rouge. I'm a fan of hearing covers but seeing how they do differently.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that because sometimes I like to hear songs, like some songs come out like really happy, but they could take a really dark take. There's this artist on YouTube called Chase Holfer, I think his name is. I'm sorry if I can get his name wrong. Like, he did the song Animals. And what's like a happy, like, fun song? It sounds like he just kind of toned it down and made it like this really haunting song. And so it really changes the mood.
Wow.
And I feel that, like, Baz Luhrmann does a really good job with any music in his films.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a big fan of the Romeo and Juliet, and it was kind of both on there, whereas the movies, like, Romeo and Juliet was, I love Romeo and Juliet. I love his version. It's just so unique.
The
Yeah,
Leonardo
certainly.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, no, I genuinely
Mercutio, the
love
guy who
that
played
one.
Mercutio was just, I thought was one of the best.
I love that.
But
that
Moulin
movie.
Rouge is like something my mom watched, and I didn't like it when I first watched it. I was like, ugh, my mom was like gushing over Ewan McGregor singing. She was like, oh, Obi-Wan can sing. She was like, whoa. But there were a lot of really good and interesting decisions made in Moulin Rouge, I feel like. I know they just made it a Broadway show too.
Yeah.
And did you know that Baz Luhrmann just dropped the trailer for his Elvis Presley biopic?
Yes,
today?
I just saw it.
It looks like something.
It could be interesting. It's Baz Luhrmann, so I'm sure he'll take it in a really weird
Hanks is
direction.
doing like a Bond villain voice.
I have no answers yet.
Well,
It's only the
interesting
teaser.
That's right, it's not much yet.
Moulin Rouge has like an eclectic array of covers, but the only song that's actually original in it is like "Come What May," is the only song that is
The boring one.
I would say it's not my favorite of all of them. I think one of my favorite covers in the movie is actually the Roxanne cover.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that moment.
That cover like took the song from like that old kind of boppy, you just kind of
Yeah.
like relaxed bobbing to the song
Yeah.
to like this heart-wrenching,
Violent
like
thing.
violent, animalistic song that
Yes.
it should be,
Yeah.
and it fits the can aesthetic.
It does. My favorite cover is your song from Elton John.
Oh, that's
I love
such a
that
good
cover,
one.
and I
It's a
love that
medley,
song.
too. It's
Yeah,
just- ah.
it's great.
There's
The Singing Moon.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
oh, that's actually. Do you know who the Singing Moon is? He was-
Pavarotti?
Yes, I was like, I
That was a
was
guess.
looking.
I didn't-
Yes.
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 Does Jim Broadbent sing like a virgin in that, or am I
For a
Uh,
tiny
misremembering?
bit.
Yes. It's him and.
He also kills it when he sings "The Show Must Go On."
Oh, it was
Yes.
such
Yeah.
a haunting song.
I-
Another one. Ugh.
I think it was cut from the movie for whatever reason, but I think on the soundtrack there's a Beck cover of
Yes.
Diamond Dogs that
There
it's
is.
really good.
It's fantastic. There's actually Moulin Rouge had 2 albums. They had like the one that was like the movie one, and then they had an extended because they
That's
had a
cool.
lot of songs they were gonna put in the movie, but they cut entirely. Like actually, one of the fun facts I actually learned was during the Can sing when they actually do "Smells Like Teen Spirit," when like all the male
Yeah.
gentlemen are coming out to play with the Can dancers. It was Baz Luhrmann actually hired Marilyn Manson to originally sing that song, but Courtney Love was and him had a long-standing feud, and she was very upset by that. So they got someone else to do it, and it was actually an unknown band to
That's
do that
cool.
cover, and it was a fantastic rendition of it.
Yeah.
An awesome use of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in Pan in 2015.
I was just about to bring that up.
Was that
That's
the Peter
wild.
Pan movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
for
not
some
seen that. I
reason,
keep
like
meaning to
Hook's
watch it.
crew just sings like '90s grunge songs.
Because he's Blackbeard, he's not Hook.
Oh,
Hook
okay.
is Garrett Hedlund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I've
it's,
only seen the clips of them singing "Smells Like Teen Spirit," so.
you could probably stop the movie after that.
The last thing I'll say about the Moulin Rouge soundtrack is the closing credits song "Bolero" is just a piano.
Yeah.
It is just a beautiful array. It's got an assorted emotion to it. It starts off very low sounding, and it's just these keys. All you hear are the keys. There's no background music. It's just the keys of the tune for it. And it goes into like an intense kind of feel, but then you get like this eclectic, like it's a high. You're like riding the high of the song, but then it brings itself back down tonally, and then it just kind of goes slow. It definitely has the whole movie's tone set in just the closing theme. I wish they had more utilized that song. It was such a haunting piano song to have mixed with industrial music in the background. It was so good. So I'm a huge fan of the Moulin Rouge soundtrack. We'll listen to.
Yes. Okay. So again, a few composers, Alan Menken, Howard Ashman, Tim Rice, the creators of the soundtracks of my childhood. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Mulan. I know I'm missing a whole bunch in between, but my childhood, every 90s Disney movie,
Yes.
late 80s, early 90s Disney movies, too. Yeah, I can't get enough of any of that.
Disney has such a good, if Disney does like a couple things correct, it's one, they research their movies very well.
Yes.
They spend a day in life. They do a very good job getting every single detail down.
Yeah.
And I think that also includes the music.
Yeah,
that goes
the
in
Lion
there.
King.
Lion
See,
King
I knew I
is
missed it.
up there, always
Yeah.
at the top, possibly everyone's
Alan
favorite.
Menken was Lion King?
Alan
I
Menken.
thought it was Hans Zimmer.
I think
It
you're
probably is Hans Zimmer.
No, I don't think that's Zimmer.
Double check. Double check.
Yeah.
It's.
I want to know if I'm right or wrong.
Oh, I guess it is Hans Zimmer. Huh.
His first
Never
Disney
thought
one
he
was
had that
actually
in.
The Little Mermaid. He did that one. And then he did Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Hunchback, which personally underrated.
The Bells
A
of Notre
very
Dame.
underrated movie.
Everything in that song.
I love The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
It's so good.
It's such a great movie.
Alan Menken did the music for Gallivant, and Gallivant's amazing. 2 seasons of pure freaking joy. He owns the building at my other job, and he lives in the area, so he's always coming in, and he is like so freaking unbelievably cool and nice, and exactly who you would hope he would be.
Yeah.
You know how they're like, you don't want to meet your heroes because
Right.
they might be dicks. Like, he's not. He's like
That's really cool.
incredibly good, incredibly kind. There's a
And-
story where I want to tell you a story about Alan Menken.
Please.
COVID canceled one of his like shows, and
Yeah.
and it's like it was a show in Ridgefield, and obviously it wasn't happening. And these two, this couple came from California to see that show because they love Alan Menken so much.
Yeah.
And they were staying at a bed and breakfast close by. He somehow heard about it, and he hosted them for a dinner at his house
That's incredible.
and had a conversation with them for about 2 hours or so, and just because they had come all the way from California to the show and
Yeah.
it was canceled, and
That's
yeah,
great.
he's the man.
Yes. Also, another fun fact, Howard Ashman actually had lived in Fishkill, New York.
Hans Zimmer lived in Yorktown.
See, look at that.
Let's go get him.
Yeah.
Bring him on the podcast.
Can you imagine?
We're that famous.
Howard Ashman's
Used
no
through the
longer
roof.
living, unfortunately. He didn't actually he didn't live long enough to see Beauty and the Beast come to completion. Yeah. But, yeah, my childhood. In a nutshell, the 90s of Disney is...
90s, early 2000s.
Well, films of our childhood can be another podcast.
Yes.
We got to break these things down.
God.
I think I can
Actually,
trace
films
all
like
my
that.
trauma back to the Neverending Story.
Oh,
And like what shaped the person I am today. It's either don't let a horse sink or don't let a person whose horse sunk be alone. And that's my whole life.
So clearly I dodged
yeah.
a bullet by not ever seeing the
Oh,
Neverending
you
Story.
have to. I think
As a
that-
child,
never
I
seen
hated
it either.
anything live action. I was just like, this is boring. So the Neverending Story looked really boring.
I mean, the art. Well, if you want to be like that, but the Artex scene.
If you want to be like
If you want to be that person.
that was just me as a child. As an
The
adult,
art-
I'm more willing.
No, the Artex scene is very heartbreaking, but then you meet the gigantic turtle and it kind of makes up for it. So
Morla is a horrible person.
she is, but it's highly entertaining
Yes,
because
this is true.
you
The
legit.
ancient one.
Yeah,
The girl?
he
The little girl?
Well,
The turtle.
the turtle.
The turtle.
It might be. I don't know if it's a he or she. We'll call it the turtle.
In it.
Basically, the main character just wakes up this gigantic turtle who's more interested in going back to sleep. It has allergies.
Same.
Allergic to humans.
Something
Yeah,
about-
so every time she sneezes and he gets blown off the tree, he comes back, he just gets really drenched more and more in snot and dirt. So like I said, you have the tragic, my horse just drowned because I'm stupid. And then you go to gigantic turtle.
Get sneezed
Leave the
on.
turtle
We could just
alone.
stop it at like the horse, we lose the horse, hopeless sadness thing. That would have been enough. But it's more about thinking that you're strong enough to protect your friends and family and finding out you're not. It's about no matter what, you can't stop what's coming. You can only do things to make it better after it happens. There is nothing about this thing that a child should be watching.
This is true.
Yes.
Sounds like a good philosophy.
Well, unless you just want to say, listen, kids, this is life.
Maybe
Yeah.
you
Get with
should have
it.
just stayed.
Watch this
Saving
movie.
Private Ryan, never-ending story. There you go,
Oh no!
kid. John Williams.
It's true, John Williams.
I was the kid who was always mad when we'd watch Willy Wonka in school and they'd skip over the tunnel scene because I was like, no, I want to
Oh
see
yeah,
the
that's
tunnel
like supposed to
scene.
be. I used to watch this thing like every year. It was like the top 100 scariest movies, and like Wizard of Oz was number 1, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory ended up on that list just because of the stupid tunnel scene.
I don't get the whole point. I mean, I know that Willy Wonka is unhinged. You know,
That was
goes
the point.
without.
It's a
Just to
wonky
scare the
ride.
kids.
But like the whole centipede coming out of the mouth thing, like that legit. Is it
Yeah.
a centipede? It's some bug that comes out of the
Creative.
Awesome.
And I was just
Creative
trying to understand
license.
what is the point.
I think it's supposed to show how how Willy Wonka is unhinged. But
Okay.
quite frankly,
Dangerously
yeah,
unhinged.
quite frankly, if you just had Gene Wilder act like a maniac, you would know, because that's how you can't really go wrong with that at all.
But Joe, what about you? I feel
Let's
like
read the book.
I'm going to throw out an anime soundtrack. Fooly Cooley.
Oh, the pillows
Yes.
are the best.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's so cool.
They are so iconic today.
I don't
So
know.
the Pillows actually had a concert a few years back here in New York, and it was like a little pop-up concert, and they only did it for a day, and my friend went to it. So if you haven't heard the Pillows and you haven't checked them out, please do. They have one of the most easy-going like rock sounds. They're very much like grunge sounding, but they're very like eclectic.
Yeah, imagine like a J-rock version of like early Weezer.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty. That's a good description. But yeah, they did the soundtrack for a little 6-episode anime called Fooly Cooley that is absolutely nuts.
Balls
Oh,
to
I
the
know,
walls,
it's really
chaotic,
cool.
and it's so hard to understand what the meaning of the whole thing is. But like even like the manga is only 2 volumes long, and it differs very highly, but the meaning is all still weird, and you're just like, what is going on this entire thing? But
Yeah.
Right on Shooting Star is
Yes.
even the ending thing with just the Vespa. It's like a live action Vespa just running around on its own. If you ever have a chance, like honestly, watch their music videos, like listen to them. It's something I know a lot of people in their minds would probably be like, oh, it's not that, probably not going to be great. I'm not going to understand anything they're saying. But you don't need to really enjoy them. It's just a good bops constantly. Good bops. So good. I'm so happy you brought up Floyd.
One of my favorites. Yeah, it's very in like that early 2000s Adult Swim core anime. But yeah, it's a great time. It's like I said, it's only 6 episodes. Check it out, and you'll find some great songs there.
It's
So.
crazy.
So, my third one was the soundtrack for this Bollywood film, Rom Leela, which is a retelling of the Romeo and Juliet story. So, if any of you are familiar with Bollywood, it's bright colors, explosion of sounds, and
4.5-hour movies about cricket.
No.
So the score was composed by Sanjay Leela Bansali. He's fantastic. Not probably the best storyteller in terms of character, but he also tells stories, I guess, through the music and the dance. So he's fantastic in that. Yeah, and it's also available through the Mid-Hudson system, not through Hoopla, unfortunately. But it's a great film. It is over the top, as most Bollywood productions are.
They're so flashy.
They are, but the music is fantastic in this film. Like, I can listen to every song on repeat. So if you haven't, all his films are visually stunning. The music is fantastic. So yeah, Ram Leela.
Some killer Bollywood films I watched recently. There's a remake of Warrior called like
Oh.
Brothers by Blood. Lagan, which is the one that's the 4.5-hour cricket movie.
Yeah.
There's one called Padmavati that was a lot of controversy.
Oh,
some years
that
ago.
film is
Was awesome, yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm.
The ending, well, the controversy around that film, because it's based on this epic poem, so there's really no indication that this particular queen, who's the subject of the poem, actually existed. But at the end, she, it's called Jawar, if I'm not mistaken. It's obviously a banned practice now, but ideally, that's not even what I was looking for. But what would happen is if a woman felt that she was in danger of being raped or her honor would be compromised, she would immolate herself.
Self-immolate.
Yeah. So essentially, that's what happens. Padmavati, who's the queen, realizes that her husband has been killed, that there's no chance of saving the city, so she gathers all the women, and they go. The end basically is them walking towards this gigantic fire pit, and they're going to burn to death. What makes the scene beautiful is the music that's playing as they're walking down the steps, essentially to kill themselves. But that was the controversy. Additionally, the fact that the man lusting after her is Muslim, and also the depiction of the Muslims, people weren't too proud with, because they're all crazy. Like, all the Muslims in that film, there's no subtlety.
He was a hunk.
Well, yeah, that's her husband in real life.
Yeah.
So, he is very handsome.
Very charismatic. It was like,
And Rom Leela, by the way, if you appreciate female gaze being catered to, there's a scene where he's completely shirtless, and it's awesome. So, just FYI. I loved that moment. So that was why it was very controversial, and their sets were burned down. The actress was threatened with death.
extremist groups were threatening her life. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy, but thankfully they still made it.
They shaved a few minutes out for the Western release or something like that, but you can still see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Well, I talked about Ink, this beautiful ethereal minimalist soundtrack. I talked about Cavalry, which is this Irish film with this incredibly that movie is you watch that movie, it's like ground shaking beneath your feet kind of impact. But King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. I open with Daniel Pemberton, closing with Daniel Pemberton. Finally, after all these years, I have an exercise soundtrack that's replaced Rocky IV. And it's King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It's like this drum beat, primitive sounding, just badass all the way through, and it has these haunting songs throughout too, with fiddles and a lot of screaming, a whole bunch of people just yelling at the top of their lungs, not really saying any words. It's sick. Totally watch it. Killer movie. Totally got shredded by critics. Did not deserve it. No one likes Guy Ritchie but me.
That's not true. My boyfriend absolutely adores Guy Ritchie films.
I have that soundtrack on my iTunes, and I've listened to it, and I loved it.
We're good.
So you're in company here.
I appreciate that.
You've mentioned that movie quite a few times on this podcast.
You have.
I think every movie I talked about tonight was something I've already talked
Except
about.
for Ink.
And we just didn't bring up The Witcher yet, but other than that,
It's coming.
it's not. I won't bring it up.
Witcher 3.
But you know
does
what
have
I
an
mean.
amazing soundtrack.
Yes, we're all
I know
aware.
what you mean.
We're all aware. Yeah.
Lou, did you have any that you wanted to share?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do. I've been here the whole time. It just
Yes.
kept skipping over me. So, what have you guys discussed already?
What haven't we discussed is the
Wow.
better question.
Everything.
You bring up
anything.
what you want to talk about, and we'll tell you if we covered it already.
Yes.
So, Bernard Herrmann. Anybody brought up Bernard Herrmann yet?
Isn't he the artist who draws paintings with giant circles and squares?
I don't know.
Man, it's Barnett Newman. Sorry.
Hitchcock's guy, right?
Godfather.
Oh.
I don't know about maybe two.
Oh,
But
Godfather.
I didn't know who he was until I googled him before we started this podcast. But he's the guy that did the score of The Godfather. So that is one of my.
We did not cover that.
Yeah.
No.
Somehow we
also
haven't
did
covered Hans Zimmer.
Taxi Driver, a
Hey.
bunch of the Hitchcock movies. He did Psycho. He even did Citizen Kane, apparently. So,
Cool.
Yeah, he is the
Wow.
guy.
Wow, that's some pretty good
guy.
filmography right there, according to AFI.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like it.
What's
and
AFI?
have you
Is it the
guys
band
brought
or
up
is
American Film Institute.
Game
Oh,
of
thank you.
Thrones?
No.
Yes.
The opening
Ramen
thing you never
Djawadi?
skip.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing
And-
that right? Ramen Djawadi?
It's I wrote it down in what's it called when you write it out to spell it? Like you,
Phonetics?
yeah, that.
Yeah.
Ramen Javadi.
Okay.
Light of the Seven, season 6, episode 10 finale,
Mm-hmm.
when Cersei's blowing up the Citadel or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
Oh, that, like I said, I've never seen the show, but I've seen enough clips to know what goes on.
Cersei's finest
That
moment.
scene is
Yeah.
epic. The
Yeah.
building
Kill.
tension to that moment. Oh my god! And she's like a boss. She's just sipping her wine. It's
Yeah,
like
but then
everything
she
goes-
loses another son. But then she loses another son.
Yeah.
And it's
Was it
all her
worth it,
fault.
Cersei?
She already knew.
I feel like his God, that is like a series just wealthy with great music.
Yeah.
But who's the guy who got cut his little,
Oh, Theon Greyjoy.
is that Ironborn?
Right, he's an
Yeah.
Iron Man.
He's
Their
Ironborn.
music to me is like the best
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about season 8? Any
Night King.
good music?
Only the
Oh,
opening.
yeah.
We're not.
Only the
dis-
opening.
Yeah, we'll discuss season 8 at some point and all the other seasons. I know that there are mixed opinions in this room.
Night King and what's the one where got Podrick sang? What's that?
Oh, that's a
Oh,
great
yes.
one too.
Pod's got
Yes,
the
I love
best
that
singing
moment.
voice.
Oh, yeah,
Jenny of the Old Stones? Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Man, my memory is
Remember
on
Reigns
fire.
of
That the one where Ed
Castamere.
Sheeran was in it?
Oh, he was in
He
on
sang
season
something
5 for a
too.
minute.
Yeah, he did
Was
the
that
song.
season 5?
I think it was season
No,
5.
I think he was season like 7.
Yeah.
He was
That
just one of the
was
soldiers
I thought it
singing
was
a
when it
song.
started
Yeah.
getting like,
Yeah,
all right,
that's
Game
the
of Thrones, what you doing here?
I loved it. I loved it. I was like, a little ginger boy.
Would have been great if he started singing the Hobbit song just to really mess with us.
I would have
I
been like,
love the cut after Jamie gets his hand cut off, straight to
Reigns
the
of
Bear and the Maiden.
The Bear and the Maiden Fair. That's it. Yeah.
no.
Reigns of
That's a great
Castamere was
song.
the end of episode 9,
Reigns of
season 2,
Castamere.
right?
3. With Rob Stark dies. Your favorite.
Well, that just goes.
My favorite?
Yeah.
That
She's
just.
not my favorite.
Oh, it's your
No,
favorite.
my
Sorry.
favorite.
I'm mixing people.
Then also like.
Yeah, I like the unlikable
Star.
characters.
They play the music at the hall, and
That's
then the
right.
murder happens, and then it goes to dead silent credits.
That's right. You're right.
The National did the Reigns of Castamere at the end, the credits for season 9, episode 2. After
Which finale was that? Yeah.
it was the one where I think Daddy came home to save them when the other the guy
Oh, Blackwater?
Baratheon.
when where
the
Stannis' siege failed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a
Stannis
great
and
episode.
Baratheon.
Yeah.
And
Charles
Cersei
Dance
was
came
gonna
home.
take poison and end it all. She should have done it because I hate her.
She's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's far more than complicated. And far more from complicated.
Just saying, in the end, who did more damage, Daenerys or Cersei?
Definitely Cersei.
Definitely Cersei.
Yeah, burn the room
Daenerys in
down.
like 2 episodes blew up about 5 armies and savaged an entire city.
Right, but like not main places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not
And also,
not.
are we also considering
not in Westeros.
emotional damage
Yeah.
as well
We're
as
talking Westeros.
That show is just a
damage.
ton of emotional damage. What's that meme going around? The guy going, emotional damage? Constantly.
Yeah.
That's the show. Every
Haven't
episode,
seen that
they
meme.
just- every time something happens, someone says something to someone. It's like, emotional damage. Yes.
So we did not cover ramen.
Nice, good, okay.
We definitely waited for that one.
2 for 2.
Uh-huh.
Avengers.
No,
I
we
did
didn't
not
talk
say
about
Actually,
Avengers.
really, really like the Avengers theme. I think I think it's epic at the end when the hammer thing comes to
Mjolnir.
Captain America,
Mjolnir.
and then he says "Avengers Assemble," and the music just starts bumping in.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty epic.
I'd agree with you.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna bring up my boy Hans Zimmer. Did anybody
There
bring
you
up
go.
Hans Zimmer?
We actually did not
We
bring up
talked
Hans.
about him like circularly, but
Vaguely,
no
yeah.
one brought him up as a topic.
Yeah.
Man's been on a roll for 20-something years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Gladiator, Dune, and
Tears of the
King.
Sun,
Yeah,
2004's
Sun.
King Arthur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pirates?
Spirit.
Pirates?
Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron.
Yeah!
My favorite DreamWorks movie.
Pirates of the Caribbean, World's End.
Yes.
The greatest
Oh, yeah, that was
wedding
it.
that ever existed. A lot to do with his soundtrack when they're fighting monster pirates on the boat.
Yeah.
The One Day song after they have to say goodbye. Man, that was rough.
Those movies look insanely good.
Yeah.
Like,
Did
the
you not?
you
CG
never
You've
seen
never
Pirates?
seen Pirates of the
No, I'm,
Caribbean?
What is wrong
saying
with you?
visually
No,
they look
yeah.
good. I've seen them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You-
Like,
I feel like
I was talking, like, Dave, the effects
what you
on
meant.
Davy Jones are, like, still kind of
like
unmatched.
insane.
Yeah.
and
Sorry,
like
Joe. Me and Amanda were
Yeah,
about to
I was
like
gonna say,
jump
they
all over
jumped
you.
on
To be like,
I feel like at World's End, like, has this incredibly earned emotional payoff at the end, and
really
it did
does.
not go in any direction you thought it was going to go, and it was very like, that's great.
Some of the shots were so good. Like when he's coming down the boat and it's like
Yeah, I
a
think
slow-mo,
one's
his
forward.
boat getting destroyed. Like shit, that's such a awesome scene.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Nothing personal, right? It was just
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Barbosa.
Well done.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Game of Thrones season 8? There's not
No,
one
Simona!
song.
There are good
You're
songs. There's
traumatizing
the pop
Lewis.
singing
Yeah.
moment.
Gladiator.
We will talk about it. But
We are going
Season 8 is Lewis's trigger.
Oh, sorry about that one.
We're
Hans
going
Zimmer
to have
did.
this discussion once the prequel series starts.
Is it still going? Is it still
Yes.
going?
Yes,
So
it is.
one of them
Oh,
got
House of Dragons
canceled, but I think there was another one they're doing. The main one, the House of Dragon, I think it is.
Yeah, House of
I heard they were
Dragon.
supposed to do like another show, but they got canceled.
Yeah, I
They
think
even
it was
shot the
like
pilot.
gonna be like about like the First Men or something or whatever, and I think they scrapped it.
They realized it was getting too close to the end. They're like, oh no.
Did you
Well-
know the script for Gladiator 2 is complete, and Ridley Scott's going to film it right after he finishes his Napoleon film?
I did hear that. I believe I heard that from you, actually.
Yeah,
He needs to get on
sorry.
that Alien
But,
TV show.
I'm redundant.
So it's just going to be a totally different story, a totally new story.
We don't know where it's going yet.
All right.
Yeah, because Russell Crowe's
I don't think you
character
could do a
died at the
second
end
one.
of the
I don't
movie.
think I'd be happy
I mean,
if it
there's
was the
another.
same
There's got to be another
characters.
Gladiator.
I don't think it
It's
even
just,
needs a sequel.
I hope they follow Jimon Hanzo's character.
That'd be cool.
He was alive at the end.
He's the last one standing.
And he's still like a complete action hero star at this point. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, he was in the Guardians movies.
Quiet Place 2.
Yes,
He was
he
in
was.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
The last one is an actual soundtrack. Not well, I guess you consider the guy a composer because he does do his own stuff. But the Euphoria soundtrack, I think, is just epic. There's a lot of great stuff in it. The main guy is the main artist is Labyrinth, but obviously he pulls in. The soundtrack has a lot of other artists in it.
The Nate Jacobs theme song is insane.
Yeah.
I finished season 1 in the special episodes.
Nice, cool.
I just found out one of the girls in it is from some Netflix show I love called Everything Sucks. You ever see that? It was like a 1990s based like
I
coming
remember
of
hearing
age
about
middle
it.
school show.
Who's from it? That's in
I guess it's like a
Euphoria.
blonde girl who's like very, very like main character in Euphoria.
Maybe Cassie.
Yeah, Sydney
Do
Do
Sweeney.
you know which one?
Sweeney.
Yeah,
that's
Emily.
the name.
She played the character in Emily.
Sydney Sweeney. Yeah. So apparently she's. I'm glad to hear that she's that famous because she was so good in Everything Sucks that I felt bad that I never saw her again.
Oh
after
yeah, no,
that.
she's great in Euphoria.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. She cries a lot in season 2. I'm like, stop crying.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Stop crying, God.
So yeah, that's all I got.
It's good. That was a
Watch
good rating.
Euphoria, listen to the soundtrack. I went on Spotify, just listened to the soundtrack. It's good stuff. Yeah.
I shall.
Nice.
Thank you guys for waiting for me. I appreciate it.
Well
You're
done.
welcome, of
Poor
course.
Joe. It's like, oh God, I have 15 extra minutes to edit.
God.
He has to find so many movie covers to pop up when we're talking. That's like me trying to direct your edit. Shut up, man.
Think
hate
of
people
it
like
as
me.
input. It's input. It's.
He does not need my input on anything. He knows it all.
He doesn't need it, but he
Well,
doesn't mind it.
Since I've got extra work, I'm going to be self-indulgent and throw one more out. Neil Young's score for Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch. It's a very unique score in that how he composed it was he watched the movie and just jammed on his guitar. And it is some of the most impressive and beautiful guitar work you'll ever hear.
Ry Cooder soundtrack for Paris, Texas.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I
I guess
gotta-
now is the round for honorable mentions if anybody's got them or any speed rounds.
Any last
I have a
requests?
couple.
Well,
I
I'll
actually have to
say-
tap out and set up for the gamer day because it's happening in 15 minutes.
Oh boy.
But I can't wait to watch this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I got
Well,
a lot
okay.
of
Missed it all.
soundtracks.
So, speed round.
Honorable mention, it's Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
I love that.
El Dorado.
Oh, so good.
And I don't know.
What's it about? What's it about? I got it.
Black Beauty. Black
Oh.
Beauty soundtrack. Yeah. The one from like the 90s, not the newer one that was released on Disney Plus.
Hello.
Charlie Countryman, a nothing film from 2013 starring Shia LaBeouf. Killer soundtrack. Hey, that's that great picture of Robert Pattinson.
It's the one he was telling me about.
I like it.
Robert Pattinson got brought up. Interesting.
We went on a Twilight tirade again.
Oh, Ben has met him.
Really? Oh yeah. Is he nice?
I worked for him for like one day.
Is he nice?
He's great. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. I'll tell you more.
Would he ever come on the show?
Could you ask?
No, he's too good for us. All right, speed round. So I said Across the Universe, the 2007 Beatles movie.
Great
Nice.
movie.
Beautiful soundtrack. Paul McCartney and Yoko Ono were very supportive during the film production, and Paul McCartney said it was great. A lot of inspiration came from the actual bands during their live recordings. There were a lot of homages to a lot of things that the Beatles did in their entire career. Beautiful movie. Honestly, watch it. Great movie. The Tron Legacy soundtrack. It's Daft Punk.
Yes.
I love Daft
Yes.
Punk. And also, it really does encompass the whole like digital aspect of the world that they're in, and I absolutely adore it. Sorry. Bleep me. I love Tron. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I think, had a very good soundtrack. The music
Yes.
choices they chose really encompassed the culture, especially with, can't think of his name, Miles. Miles's family is culturally black and also Hispanic on his mother's side. So you have a lot of music that's inspired on the two cultures, and I thought they did a good job. Controversial opinion, Rock of Ages, the 2012 movie, live action movie. Who knew Tom Cruise could sing? Like, who thought he could sing? Every time he comes onto the stage, I was like, and there's a deleted scene where he sings, God, I can't think of it, and I love that song. And he's on a pole and he's dancing to try to get with this like girl, the main girl at the time, and she's like, no way. But you're like, what is going on, Tom Cruise? And Tom Cruise didn't know anything. He rehearsed for 5 hours every day to get his voice ready for this movie. It's his first ever musical too. I only really like the movie for Tom Cruise. The Phantom of the Opera 2004 movie, because growing up in North Carolina, I didn't have access to Broadway. So I thought Gerard Butler was really good. Like
as a Phantom, the only movie I ever saw Gerard Butler in was 300.
Right?
And then
Who knew? My school's mascot was the Spartans, so all I knew was 300. It was like, tonight we dine,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay. But then who knew that he could sing like that? And he didn't rehearse.
No.
He had no prior singing
No.
experience. And also, Andrew Lloyd Webber hated that he was cast because he was supposed to be older. The Phantom himself was supposed to be older, so he was like, I would never have chosen Gerard. He's too young. But
He looks so good in that film.
Yeah.
there's actually 15 minutes of bonus material in the Phantom of the Opera movie too that was not in the original. Some of the music is actually used in the sequel, which I've not seen, even though it's on Amazon. If you have the subscription to the Broadway, honestly worth it. So Gerard Butler, what's going on there? Titan AE, the 2000 Don Bluth film. Amazing soundtrack. It's got so many good songs on it. I love that soundtrack. And my last one, second last one. The Sherlock Holmes soundtrack, the one with Guy Ritchie one. Fantastic. Guy Ritchie knows how to make good Irish music. Knows how to make good Irish music. That really encompasses the gritty. And if you haven't seen it, and we will talk about it when it comes out, but Belle, which was the anime film that came out this year that did not get nominated for an Oscar.
The music is gorgeous.
Boycott.
No.
It's BS. Disney, Luca, I'm sorry, wasn't that good. Belle should take the spot. The music was done beautifully. It's the first anime film in which I've actually liked both the Japanese music for it and the English covers of it.
They were so close
They were
enough.
incredibly similar. Kylie
it's
McNeil,
gorgeous.
I've never heard of her, but her dub versions and the song, what is it? Lend Me Your Voice makes me cry every time I listen to it.
Where
and I
did
can't
you watch
drive.
it? Because I haven't
Theaters.
seen it yet. Oh, you saw it in the movies.
It's still going on in theaters if you can find it.
Yeah.
I think the Carmel Theater is still showing.
Yes, I think there's actually a museum too. The Museum of Moving Images is showing it as well. Really good museum if you really like movies. I went there once for the Dark Crystal stuff. The exhibit they had, really, really good stuff.
Cool.
They show movies there. Fantastic score. Oscars, what's going on? You're just telling me how corrupt you are at this point. How dare you? So that's where I'll end that.
We put the meme of Snape, my body is ready when Amanda talks about
Tom Cruise.
There's like a meme where Snape is like this, I'm ready or whatever. Like
Who knew he could sing like that? It's like he really like came out and was like, my dad. So there's 2 different types of music in my house. Growing up, there were like 3 different types of music. My mom was like 80s pop, and then you had my stepfather who was like kind of like ska, but also like more alternative rock. And then you had my dad who was like 80s hair bands. He was in a band and all this stuff. So like I grew up with like Aerosmith and like all the like classic hair bands.
All the good stuff.
And then Tom Cruise starts singing it, and I'm like, what? If you haven't seen the movie, I watch it at least once a year just because sometimes I'm like, I gotta listen to him again. And I don't want to just listen to the soundtrack, I gotta watch it.
Gotta get my fix.
It's insane. Like, I've never seen the Broadway show. I heard it was really good, but at the same time I was just like, oh, the movie's out, might as well just watch the movie. And I was just like, but it's good. I don't understand. And like, Alec Baldwin's like, this is the worst movie of my career, and he refuses to acknowledge it, but I'm like, come on.
That can't be. That cannot be the worst movie Alec Baldwin's created.
That's what I
Did you see
said.
the movie where he played a blind guy?
What was that?
I think it was just called Blind.
Oh, really?
And he is he's looking at a lot of things in it.
So,
Jeez.
so that's where I'm at. So there's a lot of good music out there.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any quick mentions?
I have a quick mention.
Bring it on.
It's from the Dune sci-fi soundtrack. I think it's pronounced Inama Nushif. It's sung during the scene when Chani is giving birth to the twins, and it's a gorgeous. It's sung by Azam Ali, who, if you haven't heard her music is beautiful. And she's singing that thing. It's an entire sequence. There's also like the scene. It's played also with scenes of certain people getting killed because they're found out to be traitors. So you have various things happening, and this is just playing in the background, and it's so pretty.
Very baptism, The Godfather.
Yeah.
Also great. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I think that'll just about do it. Please let us know, like, what are your likes? What are some of your favorite songs? Let us know in the comments. Comment on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're located on all these things.
Do you like season 8 of Game of Thrones?
I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. It wasn't
Simona,
great.
why are you trying?
I just can't.
Simona, why are you trying to trigger
During the
him?
pod.
He just got back.
I'm sorry.
During the pod.
Anyways, we'll see you again next week where we will be doing more Get to Know. We have so many new people and so many new faces from when me and Simona started the new segment of the Caffeinated Librarians that we want to give you a chance to really get to know us, other than our movie and book preferences. Get to know the hosts a little bit. So I hope you'll join us
Oh, is that next
for that.
week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I really wanted to participate last time,
Yes.
but you guys didn't let me.
You see.
Well, now we're letting
Awkward
Lewis
ending,
out of the
right?
cage and Joe.
Awkward.
They're no longer just in the background anymore.
We've come a long way since that. We've added 2 cameras, we've added microphones, we've added humans.
Yes.
So,
It's been a fun journey, so I hope you guys will tune in next week for when we get to know a little bit more about more people.
Yay!
So,